Hello everyone and welcome to episode 146 of the 10-minute modeling challenge. In this one we're going back to the basics. I'm going to do a little diorama, a forest scene with a pine tree or a couple of them, some rocks and some plants, and this is how the channel kicked off back in the day a few years ago. I just made these really simple things and my mind has been a bit over exploding now because I've done a bunch of cars that have been really detailed, a V8 engine that's rigged and animated, and I've done a bunch of characters and face shapes and shape keys and morph targets, and my mind's exploding with retargeting IK animations and stuff, so I'm just dying to get back to the basics. So if you're new to the channel, this is how it all started. If you're old to the channel, well, you're gonna know what this is all about. It's like a flashback to the past. And let's get started. Ready, steady, go. And we're off. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be nice. Back to basics. So tab into edit mode, scale it down, scale, shift Z, and it's going to be this small. Select everything on the left and just grab a brown color. There we go. Shift D to duplicate that one, scale it down, right click, subdivide, and I'm going to go edit and my trusted circle. I'm going to make a pine tree here. So G to move that one. E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude, S to scale. Oh, this feels good. This is the way it used to be back in the day. G to move this one up to there, maybe. Okay, that'll do. And L to select the linked and G, and we'll just grab a green, a bit of an orange or a yellow green. That's very saturated, isn't it? Anyway, Shift E to duplicate that whole thing, and Shift E to duplicate, rotate. We're gonna wonkify it, because that'll make it a little bit more interesting. O for proportional, and then scroll it down a little bit, then get these up. So we'll have a little pine tree here. Oh, it's been a while since I did these basic ones. This feels nice. Am I recording? Yes, the usual question. There we go. So that's going to be our first pine tree. And the more you wonkify it, the better, to be honest. So just because I see a lot of people making low poly stuff and it's always like just perfect triangles. So if you can go a little bit crazy, see the wind is torn. The wind is tearing this one. So something like that, that'll do. Okay, L select the linked and L select the linked. We'll just get one more pine tree here. And rotate and then L select the linked. We'll just change it up a little bit there. And G to move that on. G. You can do stuff like the operations for randomizing stuff, but it's a bit unpredictable. And I like to keep the stylistic or stylized twist on it, so I'm just going to manually shift these a little bit to place. I'm only going to have two pine trees here anyway, and there we go. And we'll bend this one a little bit. R, you can rotate with proportional to, and G, and Control R to loop cut that on, and something like that. Okay, so that's our two pine trees, and I'm just going to do a little like a dip here, so it's like a slope. Control R, Control R, Control R. Just slope it down a little bit, and Control R. I'm just gonna do a little manual like roughness here. So again, I don't want to make a perfect diorama, so I'm gonna like send them off a little bit to the sides here. How are we doing? So 2.5 minutes. So let's put some rocks here that's like coming out of here, and I'm gonna put like a grass ledge. For some reason, I feel that's coming. So I'm gonna do Shift E to duplicate that one, and then we'll just grab a rock color here. So down here we've got some rock colors. I don't tend to use them too often down there. Let's go a little bit darker, something like that. E to extrude, L to select the linked, P, separate it into a new object, so I can press Control 2, and then I'm going to do Control A to apply this one. So Control 2 just does a subdivision modifier on it. And then for some interesting shading actually, so usually I always flat shade stuff, but recently I've started to do a little bit more where I actually do, so L to select the linked, I'm going to right click and do shade smooth, and instead of just having it shade smooth, I'm going to add a modifier, normals, smooth by angle, and then we'll just have it something like that maybe, because now when I edit it I'll get a little bit more interesting I think shading on these stones, so it looks like it's got some flat surfaces and stuff. So something like this, that rock will do. I think I'll select the link. I'm going to send it into the ground a little bit here. There we go, and then Shift E to duplicate this one, and then we'll do another one and rotate. It's going to be two of everything, isn't it? Put some flowers in here maybe too, and some grass maybe. So there are nifty ways to do grass really fast, but it'll you know, to spawn it all over the place. But when you only have 10 minutes, it takes like a few minutes to set those things up, so it might be a little bit difficult to get that sorted. So 6 minutes. Okay, so we've got a couple of rocks there. Let's do one more for good measure. Shift E to duplicate it, rotate, I'll stand it up here on the side. There we go. because then I don't have to change it so much. So I think that shading technique is working pretty good actually. There we go. Maybe I'll do a little slightly different hue on this one. Some green rock on that one. Okay, so now let's put like a tree trunk, or like a, what do you call it? Stubbe in Swedish. So it's like a stub, tree stub? No, what is it called? Put it in the comments or something, or in the chat if you're watching this. So I'm just gonna do E to extrude, and then let's do X and then dissolve limited, I to inset, E to extrude. Then I'm just gonna go a little bit brighter here so it looks like it's got a different color there. And then we'll put a little branch on it here, or a tree root. Control R, Control R, Control R, and then just go E to extrude, circle, scale it, E to, or G to move it apparently, E to extrude, R to rotate, E to extrude, S to scale. Oh, this feels good. Good old extrusions going here. So shift select these, E to extrude, circle, scale it, E to extrude, rotate. I need to change the color. It's got like the same color as the ground here. So S to scale it. How am I doing? Half the time's already gone, so I'm wasting it on these little tree roots here. So I can't do much more of those, but I'll put here as well. I need one here. I to inset and R to rotate, E to extrude. Don't be afraid to make it wonky. E to extrude, E to extrude. And then I'm going to do X, limited dissolve. Okay, I can't do that actually, because I need to just, okay, let's, never mind. I'll just do I to inset. It's because it's got like a little dint there. So, but I need to change the brightness of this one. So we'll make a dark log instead. Okay, needs to be darker. Something like that. All right, so here we go, 3:46. The time goes so fast. Goes too fast. Okay, we need to put some grass here. I think I'm gonna put like a whole thing of grass here. So Shift E to duplicate this one, scale it up a little bit, E to extrude, L to select the linked, and then I'm gonna go for a darker green here and a different shade of green. There, something like maybe a little bit more desaturated. There we go. And then I'm gonna Control R, just loop cut this one a bunch of times so I can get some more control over it. Control R, Control R, Control R, and then I'm just gonna grab, what happened then? I did a massive Control R. Control R, and then here I just want to do like, as grass is like hanging over the edge here a bit. Edge. There we go. And okay, that time's going so fast. 10 minutes is like, sometimes it feels like an eternity. And but not when you're doing a 10-minute modeling challenge. So I'll do Control R, G, and then E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude, S to scale, R to rotate. I feel like I'm running out of time here. And a little stylized twist on the corner here. E to extrude, S to scale, G to move, and E to extrude, S to scale. And okay, so what more should we? We'll put okay, 2 there. I need some strands of grass too of some sort. So S to scale it, and I'll probably proportional off for now, and then E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude, S to scale. So these are like apparently some, I wouldn't call them grass, I guess, because they're like too thick, but we'll do something here anyway. Another shade of green, maybe this shade here. Need some contrast there too, so maybe one darker, something like that. All right, G, and then I'm just gonna Shift E to duplicate, and Shift E to duplicate, rotate, Shift E to duplicate, R to rotate, Shift E to duplicate, R to rotate. Maybe I can put a little bit of water down here too, but I've got 1 minute to go. Shift E to duplicate, rotate, scale, and proportional, O. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this whole cluster now. L, selects the linked. I'm gonna Shift E to duplicate, R to rotate, Shift E to duplicate. Okay, I don't even know what I'm doing now. R to rotate, and Shift E to duplicate. Let's put some here as well. Scaling down, R to rotate, and Shift E to duplicate, R to rotate, and then put some water here. I've only got 1 minute to go now, so actually I'm gonna just send this down a little bit further then, and then this up again. So I'll just put a little bit of water. Okay, what am I doing now? Here we go. Shift E to duplicate that one, scale Z0 to flatten it, and then just go for like a, I don't know if this is gonna work here. No. Maybe I can put that on a like a metal surface so it looks like it's reflective. There we go. Cheating a bit, and then bring it down. Scale. I'm just using the metal surface to kind of fake water. Oh, I got proportional, that's why. There we go. So it kind of worked. And then Shift E to duplicate, E to extrude. I don't even know what I'm going to do here because I've only got 16 seconds. So E to extrude, S to scale. What am I doing here? Apparently it's just a piece of dirt. Shift E to duplicate that one. A little bit more detail. And G, Control R, up. Okay. There we go. Here is a good old-fashioned 10-minute modeling challenge, a little mini diorama. And we pumped out two really sad-looking pines. Maybe I should actually, I'm gonna maybe duplicate this one now. First of all, I'll save it. Okay, from a distance, actually, it doesn't look half bad. So what are we gonna, let's do some tinkering time too in the bonus section here. And what should we do? I'm going to save it as a version, a new version. Save incremental there. Sometimes like I like to put a little bit more contrast on these trees. So I'm going to select these. I'm just holding Alt and Shift and clicking on that edge to do a loop select. And then I'm just going to go a little bit darker on these and saturate it there. That just gives it a little bit. And I might actually subdivide or like decimate these trees a little bit too, because they look a little bit too perfect. Well, they don't look anywhere near perfect, to be honest. But I think you know what I mean. So I'm not too... Maybe they're too bright or something too. So usually I slow down to... Like okay, let's... I'm going to keep the pace up going instead now. So instead of just like slow talking, I'm going to add another 10 minutes on it, I think. Let's do another 10 minutes. Let's add it and see how much we can improve it. Ready? Steady? Go. Bonus section. 146B. Okay, so I'm going to put some plants here. I'm going to put Shift D to duplicate that one and right click, subdivide and circle. That's my quick way to do a little flat thing. I'm going to do E to extrude and let's make a flower here. So maybe white in the center like this, and then Alt select these or the edge and then Alt E to extrude individual faces. There's going to be a quick way to do a flower, I guess. And then just select these, S to scale that on, and maybe I'll do, I'll shift. I should have done this before, but Control I now. Inverts. Okay, that didn't work either. Okay, so let's do... okay, this quickly became complicated because I'd lost my selection. So now I have to manually do this, and then I'm going to press Control plus. And then we'll just go for blue there. So that's our first flower. And then we'll just extrude, E to extrude, S to scale, and E to extrude, S to scale, R to rotate, E to extrude. Okay, this cannot be blue for some reason. It's funny how the flower can be blue, but not the base or whatever it's called. The shaft. It's not called shaft either. I don't know what it's called. The thing that goes down into the ground from the flower anyway. S to scale, E to extrude. And this looks like it's made out of plastic or something. Maybe it's too big maybe. So I'm going to do R to rotate. Okay, we need to wonkify it a little bit too. So, and maybe I'll inset these two. Maybe that one's too perfect. And then you can do comma and then do normal. Did I set the timer off? Yeah. There we go. And now I can actually do a different shade of blue here, maybe something like that. All right, so that looks like satellite-ish now. Okay, let's wonkify it a little bit then. And I could have subdivided it or something too, but let's just make it a little bit there. Okay, there we go. L select the link. I'm going to bring it up. I'm probably going to make it smaller. I think that's one thing that's putting me off, that it's too big. X, limited dissolve. I don't really want those extra things there. Control R, scale, Control R, and then E to extrude, S to scale, and then E to extrude. Okay, that's going to be fine, you know. And then it's too thick. It's too thick. Okay, let's put a leaf here too. E to extrude, S to scale on the X-axis or something, and E to extrude, and then we'll just do the same here. E to extrude, S to scale on the Y-axis, E to extrude, S to scale. And it doesn't have to look really that great. I just need to have a little bit more detail here. So when we duplicate this one, it should be all right. So L to select the link now, and then Shift E to duplicate it, R to rotate, scale it down. And there we go, Shift E to duplicate it, R to rotate again. And Shift D to duplicate this one. A little cluster of flowers here. That's going to be lovely. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to put something at the base here too. So Shift G, no, not Shift G, E to extrude. And how do I do this then? Actually, I should have done this probably. Right click again, subdivide, my favorite thing. And then S to scale it, E to extrude it. And then let's just bevel this whole top now. Okay. There we go. And I cannot select all the way around because I've got this stupid cross in the center there. Control B to bevel it. And now I can just E to extrude, S to scale, and E to extrude, S to scale. What am I doing here? E to extrude, S to scale on the x-axis, Control R, S to scale on the x-axis, Control R, S scale on the x, Control R, scale on the x-axis, and G, and okay. So this was meant to be some sort of a flower thing. Okay, I'm already regretting this one. Okay, that's fine. It's something at least. E to extrude, S to scale. It just needs to be some polygons here, to be honest. Cast some shadows and stuff. So that's a little flower thing anyway. That wasted nearly half my time on just that one flower. So let's duplicate it and put it so we can reuse it. Everything, yep. Shift E to duplicate that one. Rotate and scale it down a bit. And here we go. There are some flowers. Just change it up slightly so it doesn't look like I've totally copied it, even though I just did. Okay, and so we've got some blue flowers there. Okay, what should we do more here? What can we have here? Maybe we'll put a little twist on this log here. G to move this one because it was like intersecting. So I'm going to make this one a little bit interesting. Scale that one up. Maybe I'll do G to move that on. It looked just too perfect. So here again, we'll do this one too. G to move. We could put a little twist, but I don't think I've got time for that one. But you could do like n-gons here if you hate yourself. And now you'll hate me too for telling you that it's okay to do n-gons sometimes. But I'm gonna do it anyway. So there we go. That's too bright. Should I do darker instead? Yeah, that's it. A little bit of detail there. We need something interesting here. I don't know what this could be though. So we've got grass here. What could come out of the grass here? Nothing really. Nothing comes to mind. I bet you in the Premiere chat now people are like, oh, you should make this, but this is recorded because it's a Premiere. It's not really I know what to do. So it's not a live stream. That's why I can't not really listen to your feedback. Well, I can read it. That's nice. So, and then how do these things look? I know what I'm looking at. Oh yeah, I know what I'm going to do. G, lily pads. For once, I actually remembered what something was called as well. That's a new high score for me. So we'll go for something like that color maybe. And then X, limit to dissolve, E to extrude, I to inset, and E to extrude. And I'm sure they look like they have like some, don't they? Control R. How do they look? They have some, do they have like a split in them or something? I can't remember. They have like a distinct look anyway that I'm failing to remember now. This looks like an apple now. Never mind. It can still be there. Shift E to duplicate it, rotate, and there we go. They don't look like this, I know, but I don't have time to look up references. It's only a few minutes to go. Okay, so maybe some. I've already got rocks. What? My mind is firing blanks here to think what's okay. Some more different types of grass or a different tree. Let's do a different tree here too. Shift E to duplicate this one. And right click, subdivide, circle, G to move it. Or actually, first I'm going to do X, limit to dissolve, and then G, let's get a different brown here. Something dark here as well. G to move it, E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude, S to scale. I'm going to make this one a little bit more interesting. Usually I tend to go a little bit too safe with the shape, so I'm really going to actually extremely twist it this time. I always go way too safe with my shapes. So, well, you look at those pine trees thinking, no, you don't, you don't, that looks hideous, but G to move that on, and E to extrude it, and E to extrude. Usually I don't really go like this, so I always tend to like just go up. So I'm happy with this. E to extrude, S to scale, R to rotate, so something like that. And I know there are shortcuts to do these type of things, but I like to do it this old-fashioned way. Circle, scale, because I get full control then. E to extrude, and here I'm still gonna don't go for the safe route now. E to extrude, S to scale, go down even. E to extrude, R to rotate. E to extrude, R to rotate. This is never happening. I never go down with the branches like this, so, but now I am. So dare to be a little bit different. Do it not the same way you always do it. E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude, S to scale. And then here, I'm gonna push myself now. So I'm gonna E to extrude, and then circle, and then now I'm gonna really go for it. Come on. E to extrude, S to scale. Out of the comfort zone here with twistiness. 1 minute to go. E to extrude, S to scale. E to extrude, S to scale. I think this will make it a little bit different from what I always do anyway. E to extrude, S to scale. And do you know what? I'm gonna make it even wonkier. E to extrude, S to scale, R to rotate. I know you can like control right click too, but usually you don't get full control over the way you get your normals when you do it that way. And then I have to reselect like this, so I actually lose time doing that. And E to extrude, S to scale. And then I'm gonna split this one, Control R, Control R. I'm running out of time now, 22 seconds to go. So E to extrude, S to scale, circle, and E to extrude, R to rotate. I'm gonna put some moss on this tree. E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude. And Control R. Here we go. Is that alarm gonna go? Yeah. E to extrude, S to scale. Whoops. I accidentally clicked restart on that one, so I guess I got another 10 minutes. Here we go. Ready, steady, go. So E to extrude, S to scale, R to rotate. Okay, this is going to be the last one. This is going to be the last 10 minutes to be added to the 10-minute modeling challenge for this episode, of course. So I'm going to put a root here too. E to extrude, circle, S to scale, R to rotate. Here, I'm going to go crazy with this. It's not really that crazy. I don't know why I go. I'm fooling myself. It's like it's just a few polygons. But here, check this out. E to extrude, S to scale, and I'm gonna go over the edge here. E to extrude, S to scale, R to rotate. E to extrude, R to rotate. Every time I look at my screencast keys, I've enlarged them. That tells me I need glasses. Not that I need to see them, but I don't know why I make them so big. E to extrude, S to scale, and E to extrude, S to scale. See, that one's hanging down there now. That's it. And then here, this branch is broken. I to inset and E to extrude. So too bad that this branch broke. And there we go. Control R, scale. Okay, so this tree now, I'm gonna put some moss on top of that. Took a long time to do this. But let's just select a few. I know you can do something like this, but it's not really that many polygons, to be honest. So I'll just do a manual thing. So with some circles, select here, grab a few of these top ones, not that one, here, there, here, and there. That'll do. And then I'm going to do Shift D to duplicate those, scale them down and move them down slightly. Scale them down again. All right, Alt E to extrude, okay, not that one. Alt E, extrude long phase normals. Something like that. Control plus a few times so I get all of them, and then I'm just going to put some green. I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll put like some form of a green here. A desaturated green. There we go. And then this needs to be wonkified, of course. So maybe I need to, I'll do L on these. And then I'm going to do P, separate it to a new object. And then I'm going to do Control 1 so I can do this one. And then I'm going to apply that one and then just make it a little bit like this so it doesn't look exactly right. And here we go. and then I have to, this looks too uniform, so I'm gonna have to decimate this too, but that's okay. And then maybe we'll extrude these. E to extrude. Okay, that was too long. It's because I had that one selected too. So just grab these again. Shift select a few of them. E to extrude, S to scale. R to rotate, E to extrude, S to scale. And here we go. G to move that on. Select a few of these. E to extrude, S to scale. I'm like focusing on the back here now, which you're not really going to see that much. One more. E to extrude, G to move that on. R to rotate. E to extrude, G to move it. Oh, I got proportional, that's why. So let's decimate this one now. Add modifier, generate, decimate, and then slide it down a little bit to there. Apply that on, and then I still need to fix this a little bit. Anyway, that'll be okay. All right, so what else could we put here? I could duplicate that tree, but I'm not gonna cheat that much. So maybe a bigger rock here. Shift D to duplicate this one. With some grass on top, maybe a darker rock here, a bigger, darker rock. So I'm gonna grab the top stuff here, Control plus G to move that. And then we'll do E to extrude, S to scale, G to move it. And I like to go like outside of this one a little bit. And shift select to there, and E to extrude this one. Have I got proportional on again or something? E to extrude, and G. So this one I'm going to go a little bit darker. Something like that. And I'm going to keep the smooth shading, but with the auto normals there. For now, something like that. And then I'm going to put grass on top of this one. So just going to go to top view, circle select, grab that. Not this one, probably. Scale Z a little bit, and then Shift E to duplicate it, scale it down just a tad. E to extrude, S to scale it out, E to extrude, S to scale. L select the linked, and then just put some green moss on top here. And I don't know, that didn't turn out so good, but I'll decimate this one too, I guess. Scale it, E to extrude, S to scale, and E to extrude, S to scale, and G to move. How am I doing? 4 minutes to go. Imagine if this was the first 10 minutes, then it would have been good. I would have stuck to, but I've failed the concept so many times now. I'm okay with it. So something like that. And then let's decimate this one. L select link, P, and add modifier, generate, decimate, and then slide it down a little bit. Okay, and I did the rock now by mistake, so this is what I wanted to do. P, control, or add modifier, generate, decimate, slide it down a little bit. Okay, and this one cannot have that shader on, because it needs to be flat shading this one, I think. So shade flat. There we go. And Control A to apply that one. I'm not really happy with these pine trees actually. These are letting the scene down a little bit. Maybe they're too bright, so I'm gonna grab all of these. And then let's tone them down just a bit. They look hideous. Okay, maybe I need to decimate them. L, 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 and P. And then we'll do generate, decimate, slide it down a bit. Okay, I'm gonna, before I do that, I'm gonna do Control 1. Apply that on. Wonkified a little bit more. I've only got 2 minutes to go now anyway, so get a little bit more interesting trees here. G, 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 G. Okay, now I'm actually going to do that a a little bit of randomness anyway here. So vertex, or no, mesh, transform, randomize. But here's why I don't really like it too much, because it actually randomizes it. Nah, I don't like it. It's just not giving me the control that I need. G. Maybe we can turn a few of them up like this. And I'm gonna decimate these two. I don't really like when it's all quads like this. Even though quad is a good topology, it just looks a little bit too uniform sometimes when you have assets that are that way. There we go. G, 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 G. Okay. Apparently I haven't done pine trees in a long time, so now let's decimate it and see if we get away with it. Decimate. Slide it down. Oh well, never mind. I think I liked them better before, but it's too late to go back now. So two pine trees there, and we're nearly out of time, so all I can do is I'll put a little bit more veg here. Shift E to duplicate, scale, Y, G, E to extrude, and proportional off, G to move, L select the linked. Here we go. G, scale, and E to extrude. I could have just cloned the other stuff. Have I still got normal? Yeah, I thought my rotations were going a little bit strange. It still feels like it's going strange. So L select the linked, Shift E to duplicate, rotate, rotate, 20 seconds to go. So Shift E to duplicate, rotate Z axis, scale it up. There we go. Scale this one down, and E to extrude, R to rotate. L select the linked, and I need to change the color. It needs more contrast. G, Shift E to duplicate, rotate, rotate Z. Shift E to duplicate. I'll put some over here too. Rotate Z. Oh, 1 second. Ah, there we go. Okay. So now we'll save the new version there. All right, so to be honest, I didn't really feel like I managed to add that much more extra. So the first diorama, the 10-minute one, I was pretty happy with that one all the way, the thing it really was. These lily pads don't look like lily pads. The flowers could have done, maybe I should have done some more, so different colors. Maybe blue isn't the best color. The tree here, I'm okay with the shape. It looks like tentacles or something, and then some rocks there. But I think, yeah, from a distance like this, could be a little scene there. Who knows? All right, that's going to be it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this little quick episode that turned into be 30 minutes of 10-minute modeling challenges, all 3 in a row. But give it a thumbs up if you liked the video, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and come back next week for another video, and I'll see you then. Until then, have a great one, and I'm going on. Bye for now.